My friends, with the remaining moments that we have today, I'm going to take a little platform to acknowledge something that as an American, I need to acknowledge today. If you look at my backdrop, it's New York City. Today, we remember 9/11. It is the 19th anniversary of 9/11. And I know that many of you were perhaps very young or not even born when this happened. I, however, was very present. I'm currently 52. At the time, I was in my 30s, and it was actually just a few days before my wedding. And I think it's very important for us to know the value of sharing the stories of our lives with people who weren't there. Because in your future, when you're 52, you're going to encounter a whole bunch of young people who do not understand what it was like to live through a pandemic, especially at a transitional time in your life where you graduated from high school and then had to go into college, and how your experience was uniquely different from anything that anybody else has ever experienced. So I want you to take value in your experience right now and know that your story is valuable, and to remember your story and share your story. So for my story, for my part, I remember I was outside painting my grandparents' porch. My grandmother ran out and started yelling, "They're bombing New York." So I ran inside, and immediately what everybody encountered was looking at our television screens. And not only did we see it unfold as the day unfolded, one crash, two crash in the Pentagon, crash in Pennsylvania. But there was this feeling about what's going to happen next. Everything shut down. Everything was kind of frozen. And there was this fear of, is this the beginning of something much, much, much worse? Luckily, what happened on that day ended on that day, that event. But the aftermath, everything that everybody went through as first responders in all of those places that were affected, how people are still affected by it, but more so, I want to say, the fear that Americans were feeling is something that I reflect upon. Because when I think about what we're going through today, we get messages all day long that we should be afraid. We get messages all day long that we should be afraid of each other. And I don't want to live a life in fear of you. And I don't want you to live a life in fear of me. Now, I'm not a big politician. I don't wield a lot of power in my life, but what I try to keep in mind is that I can think about how I treat others in my world. And I look at what's happening as far as what we're trying to do to contain the pandemic. Also, how we're trying to address racial injustice, how we're looking at the equality between genders and sexes, and how we're trying to make everybody live a life where they're not afraid. And so what I encourage you to think about today is what we can each do to help each other live in hope, to find those moments that move us past fear, but also it's through our actions of making others feel safe. So in our class, I certainly hope that you continue to make each other feel safe, that we can find our voices and express our ideas and our stories, because we know that the people that we're sharing them with are listening with open minds. But also that when we go out into the world, we can, instead of thinking the worst thing about somebody that we don't know or somebody that we've never encountered, try to think the best thing and try to move forward that way. And that's what I want to share with you about my experience with 9/11.